Hello and welcome to Politics. Today I am Farrukh Pitafi. Viewers, once again we are going to talk about Pakistan's political situation, particularly one party that rules the center. I am talking about Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. There seems to be some turbulence that is apparently going on. On one side we have seen, as we discussed yesterday, removal of one SAPM, and it seems that there is an inquiry that the government itself wants to institute. On the other side, Jahangir Tareen, party senior, who was once very influential, seems once again to be reasserting himself. Yesterday, he met with his party, actually PTI members, who supported his idea of creating a like-minded group in the parliament in Punjab and at the center. Amazingly, when you look at this tautology or this word like-minded, I have never been able to understand what does it mean. Like-minded what? I mean, others are unlike-minded, they disagree on anything, but the fact is that it is a pressure group. And now Raja Riaz is going to be its parliamentary leader at the center. The same Raja Riaz who actually joined this party from People's Party and used to be People's Party's senior leader in Punjab. So we are going to talk about this dynamic, how exactly is it going to impact the party. On the other side, we know that PMLN and its leadership keep on trying to find a way out of this country for the leader of the party, that is Shehbaz Sharif, and that is not all. People's Party seems to be facing its own trials and errors as well. We are going to talk about all these matters, and then let me also point out, yesterday also I had pointed out that there is a segment of media that immediately starts speculating about the future, not only of the government, not only of one political party, but of the entire democratic process. I have in past 72 hours listened to many people who claim that they are very close to the powers that be, that there is going to be some kind of dismissal or takeover or something of that sort, and that is happening on television. So what exactly is wrong with our media, which seems to be actively anti-democracy? We are going to talk about all these matters. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined in the studio by Ahmed Jawad Saab, who is Central Secretary Information, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the ruling party. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Javed Rana Saab, Senior Analyst, Journalist and whatnot. And I'm going to ask him about media's role as well. Javed Rana Saab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Our third guest, another senior journalist, Irfan Ghori, joins us on Skype. Thank you very much, Irfan Ghori Saab, for being part of the program. Let me start with Ahmed Jawad Saab. Ahmed Jawad Saab, what exactly is going on in your party? Jahangir Tareen Saab creates this pressure group, and then in the day, today, he says that, no, we are not creating any forward bloc. Although you know the history of like-minded groups in Pakistan, they always are created as a pressure group and a forward bloc. What exactly is going on?
I think the easy answer is what Sheikh Rashid today quoted.
Yeah.
And that was these differences come and go. And most likely Jahangir Tareen and his group would be voting for the budget in the coming month.
Okay.
So that is an easy answer. On the other hand,
you are concerned about the budget at the center, because not the provincial government in Punjab, where he has said that they are going to punish the provincial government for victimizing his group.
As far as threats are concerned, I mean, these threats to this government, whether provincial or federal, they started appearing, I think it was October 2019, when Maulana Fazlur Rahman was coming for the dharna. And after that, it never stopped.
Okay.
And it was joined by Corona also.
Okay.
the economic pressures, the economic bankruptcy situation, that was also there.
Let me flag something here. For the viewers, let me point out that he is connecting Maulana Fazlur Rahman with coronavirus. Okay, go ahead.
No, I do not intend to.
Okay.
So, I mean, there have been so many turbulent times,
Okay.
so many challenges.
Right.
And at the onset of each turbulent, challenging time, the media discussion obviously was and leading towards the conclusion that the government is going.
Right.
And I think if you go back to the statements of the PDM, you would realize...
No, I understand. You have pointed out all the factors which were pushing pressure on your party from without.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about people who are part of your party and they command significant number. Without them, your party will not be able to keep its majority in either of the two parliaments.
Yes, you are right. It's a different kind of challenge.
Okay.
Challenge within is obviously more lethal than the challenge outside.
Okay.
So, but on the other hand, we are still optimistic that after listening to the statements of Jahangir Khan Tareen that they were PTI, they are PTI, and they will remain PTI, and he has no intention of,
bringing down the government.
Bringing down the government.
No, they will remain PTI. The problem is whether you will, your party will. But that is something that is being speculated. We are joined by a fourth guest on telephone, Zubair Iqbal Ghori Saab. Dr. Zubair Ghori also joins us, political analyst. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. But before I go to Dr. Saab, let me go to Javed Rana. And Javed Rana Saab, when the central, information secretary of our party is quoting Sheikh Rashid Saab that everything will be okay. Do you think everything is hunky-dory?
Well, I think
I said it was immediate.
I think it depends on many ifs and buts.
Okay.
My understanding is that now all the cards are with former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, self-exiled female leader. Because
how? We are talking about their party.
You know, if we connect everything what is going on in Pakistan, then at the end of the day, there is a package, and that package, according to these reports, these media reports, and that package is if Nawaz Sharif accept Shehbaz Sharif as a possible Prime Minister in case all these kind of stuff continue to happen, then at the end of the day, I think there is a possibility of the removal of the government. But my understanding is that Nawaz Sharif is not going to accept Shehbaz Sharif as a Prime Minister in any form at this particular point of time. He wants fresh elections. Therefore, I think this political turmoil that we see is most likely to fade away.
Okay.
But certainly it has caused unnecessary destabilization, political destabilization in Pakistan. What Jahangir Tareen is not saying that it is, we are part of the PTI, but actually he wants to say, but if you don't start investigation against me, then I'm going to join hand with the opposition and would dislodge the government.
Yeah.
But again,
hang on. Two things. That
No, you didn't say this thing.
he didn't say that. Underlying message is the same.
Yeah, exactly. But how many party members create their own group and then nominate a parliamentary leader from within the party, independent of the majority or the treasury benches? This doesn't happen. But one thing that you said intrigued me. You said that it all depends on one person who is sitting abroad, one convict who is also an absconder. You're talking about Pakistan's democratic future. Does it make sense?
Our political culture and our politics has descended to that level where people in exile, convicted, they decide the fate of Pakistan's politics.
Okay.
I think this is not something which is surprising.
Okay.
But again, there's a hard politics. General perception is that the establishment, the powers that be, they are looking for alternative for the next election.
Okay.
And Nawaz Sharif and his daughter is
The
not
powers that be are looking for alternatives.
for the next generation.
I will need some kind of code to decode whatever you have said. But let me bring in the third guest, Dr. Zubair Ghori, because I understand that he has to leave early. Dr. Zubair Ghori, your take on this situation where everybody seems to be speculating about the future of a democratically elected government? What is wrong with the collective imagination of a country whose media pundits keep on predicting that the government is going to go away? Okay, let me direct this question to Irfan Hori Sahab. Irfan Hori Sahab, can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I asked a question. Can you reply to that, sir?
Farrukh Sahab, can you hear me? This is Dr. Zubair. I was just trying to say that this is perhaps the biggest challenge that this government is going to face. All the challenges that they were previously facing from the PDM and from the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz or the Dharna politics of the JUIF, they have taken them very lightly and they just went through it. But this is the serious challenge because it has come from the inner circles. But I see that the Jahangir Tareen Khan group has just upped the ante against them. Previously they were just joining hands and putting together, but now they have upped the ante by nominating their own parliamentary leaders. This is something very, very serious. Although they are saying this today's statement that came out from Jahangir Khan Tareen's mouth that we are the PTI and we're part of the PTI. Yes, they are part of the PTI, but they can still bring about an internal change. Having said that, this is not a good sign for the Pakistani democratic system that we are in. We are always kind of that
Dr. Hari, I understand, and of course, I understand your response, but my question was primarily about Pakistan's punditry that keeps on predicting the future or demise of democratic process in the country. And the question that I had actually put to you, and I understand that it perhaps didn't get through, was why is it that media all of a sudden starts arguing for some kind of military coup, or for that matter some kind of alternative plan which takes care of all the politicians and installs unelected government?
Well, according to many theories, media has a symbiotic relationship with sensationalism. And this is particularly true for the Pakistani politics and its projections on the Pakistani media. Pakistani media, unfortunately, let me say that, they just thrive on that sensationalism because there's hardly any research-based activities, no documentaries, no programs that are based on creativity. These are largely the programs based on opinions, and hence, to make these programs more chatpata and more interesting and more sensational, they go into this kind of sensational theories or the conspiracy mongering attitude. This is one thing that is going on, that has been going on since this government has come in, and it will keep on because they have to sell something by the end of the day to the audience and keep them glued to their TV channels. But the problem is this, that this time perhaps they are, the speculation is more like of that may come true. We are, again, I'm saying that we are going in circles again and again and again, going to the same thing. This is not the problem with the media. They will keep on doing this thing. The problem is with Pakistan's democracy, which is always pledging, unfortunately. The things that this government has been doing, apart from their abject failure of doing any reforms or bringing about any easiness to the people of Pakistan, but the standpoint that they took on accountability, on the corruption and on different scandals that are even coming out of their government, they took a very, very strong stance. And I must appreciate this government that they have taken that stance and they did not budge away from their responsibility that the people were coming from their own ranks and files or from the others. Unfortunately, apart from that, the expectations of the people which should have been going side by side, they have not been fulfilled. So even the good thing that this government has performed on the agenda of reform, on the agenda of accountability and taking the people to the book, that has also been sidelined, which is a very, very unfortunate thing. And if anything bad happens to this government, this all effort, 3 years of accountability and putting in some kind of moral practices on the Pakistani politics have all gone to dog. This has to be done in a very, very efficient manner, and this matter should be tackled in a very intelligent manner by Prime Minister Imran Khan. I think he should be more focusing now on the reforms agenda, on the betterment of the people, and he should let the things go. He should let the things go by as they are, as far as accountability of regime is concerned, and let
Right.
others take some
That's a
responsibility.
good
in
point,
this
sir.
connection.
That's a good point, but with great respect, my concern was that all over the world, democracy is supported by media, which is essentially a function of democracy. Why is it that in this country this keeps on happening? But Zubair Hori Saab, thank you very much for being part of the program. After thanking him, let me go to Irfan Hori Saab. We had two Horis in this program. Irfan Hori Saab, again, the same question. The concern right now is that the government, of course, has a very thin majority in the parliament. We understand that with this majority, you cannot expect it to bring about some magical change. But why is it that the media is always permanent part of the revolutionary brigade? There are many who say that the pundits who supported this government before its coming to power were all expecting cabinet posts and they could not get them. So naturally now they have to actually start arguing that the government will be brought down. Your take, sir.
First of, thank you very much. I think part of this question has been addressed by Zubair sir, but I'll go further. That one, I mean, the main issue is I think it's the performance. Be it, be it the performance of the government and the governance on economic front, on you would say this price hike, and the common man what they have been facing. And when this government came to power, I mean, they had made tall, claims. And in media as well, we had seen, the supporters of PTI, they had very high expectations and all that. When those things are not materializing, so, I mean, naturally, other than the media hype we see on the TV channels, you would see that in general public as well, that the PTI's popularity and PTI's graph has declined. And when it comes to accountability, which was which was their main point, we had seen that they have instituted many cases, but when it comes to execution, when it comes to in the courts conviction rates, we see that on that front the government has failed. And one of the reasons, or the main reason, is our system of prosecution, our system of investigation. And on those fronts, when PTI has failed, the result we have seen is that not only in the public but also within the party, though Jahangir Khan has a different case, but when it comes to the accountability thing, the government has a point that when it comes to accountability, we have filed cases against our own people and this and that. But generally, and and especially in opposition, it is widely propagated that this is a targeted approach and targeted accountability. And the result we have seen is that many people which were part of PTI, and maybe they had been bought by Jahangir Tareen. Jahangir Tareen is not an elected member, but still so many 30-40 people siding with him. This is something very significant.
Okay. Right. It is significant, but my concern once again remains. We all keep on asking for accountability in the system. When the government goes after its own influentials, at that time, if they are especially rich, they keep on coming up with the powers that are bestowed by the magical bond of money. And that's why so many people keep on supporting them. And all of a sudden, the media start seeing the early demise of the government. I don't understand this aspect. My concern is that if you elect a government, the media, it is in the interest of media to keep on supporting the democratic process. On the other side, sir, Ahmed Jawad Saab, when I ask you what is going to happen tomorrow, there can be only one or two things. One, you start compromising with JKT's forward group, or then you lose power. Which one is it going to be?
Farrukh, if you allow me, I'll come to this media question also.
Yeah.
Just during the discussion, there was a reference to the inability of PTI government against accountability. So I just want to, give you an example that you might have seen on the social media. There is a clip of Urdu newspaper, and the date is 1st December 1972.
Okay.
And the news is about sugar mafia, and they will be taken to task.
Right.
So since 50 years, this sugar mafia every year used to prevail.
Okay.
Every year there used to be escalation, increase in the prices, and they used to get away. Now PTI government did not let it happen. They started with a commission, they started with an inquiry. Even the people from their own rows and columns, they were coming up into that investigation. Still PTI was not deterred to stop the inquiry. The investigation continued. Now, I mean, why I'm mentioning this thing, that there are sweeping statements on the media repeatedly that PTI could not fulfill its promise of accountability. I mean, PTI, you have to give the credit of taking those initiatives which has not been taken in last 50 years. Something has started.
Okay.
Today, the whole country is talking about sugar mafia.
Okay.
It is because of this PTI initiative, uncompromised initiative, that we have to reach to the conclusion.
Okay.
And so it's a battle between sugar mafia and the government.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it is a question by the media or the opposition that, oh, look, 1 year has passed and nobody has been prosecuted or convicted.
Okay.
So it's easy to say this thing, but if we explain this,
will be the first person to commend you on record.
Yeah.
That at least you are taking somebody to task, right?
Yeah.
There is an inquiry
Yeah.
that is going on against Jahangir Khan Tareen as well.
Yeah.
Now the question is, at this moment, while you actually stick up for your principles, everything has consequences. It's a choice that we have made.
Yeah.
And he has proven that 40 lawmakers are with him. And you know that your majority is not there this high. So what exactly is it going to be? Are you going to be hoisted with your own petard? Or are you going to be a martyr? Or you are going to survive by cutting deals? Which one is it?
I think one thing I can tell you very clearly and very openly, that there is not going to be any deal.
Okay.
If you are talking about Imran Khan, forget about the deals.
Okay.
And he has expressed this thing number of times, that the government being in the government is not a big deal.
Okay.
He can dissolve assemblies anytime if he faces a threat where it could bring down the government.
Okay.
So the dissolving the assemblies is one of the options which Prime Minister Imran Khan will not hesitate to.
But I understand that.
Yeah.
And then please help me understand, why is it that JKT groups, like-minded groups, members go and meet the Prime Minister, right? And their one-point agenda is JKT, nothing else, right? I say this because there are other people who are under investigation, like Shehbaz Sharif. There are others as well. Will the Prime Minister meet any of their representatives?
I think there is an answer for that. No matter there are grievances or no grievances.
Okay.
As a chairman of the party, if group of people wants to meet him, the party members, party leadership from any region, from any district, if they want to meet the chairman, I think the chairman of the party has to meet them.
Yeah, but the agenda was very clear.
One man does not matter. I mean, he at least he cannot be blamed tomorrow
Right.
that he did not even talk to them.
Okay.
So he invited them, he listened to them, he gave his point of view. So I think
Very quickly,
Yeah.
when are you going to give this, alleviate this excuse when it comes to PMLN? They have this excuse as well. Prime Minister will not actually talk to them. Give them this excuse as well. Give
no,
them
I didn't get your question.
I mean, you said that the Prime Minister actually took care of this matter, that there cannot be this excuse that the Prime Minister didn't actually lend any ear to them, right?
Yeah.
Shehbaz Sharif people also keep on saying that they're victims. Listen to them as well. Okay, allow me to actually go to Javed Rana Sahab, who is very patiently waiting for his turn.
You didn't take my answer.
I will come back to you, sir. But Javed Rana Sahab, earlier a news item was quoted, actually that related to sugar mafia in 1972. In front of me is Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan's founder's August 11th speech, in which I think the fourth paragraph is about black marketing, right? And then corruption. That means that this is a systemic, endemic kind of problem. Do you think that now, if you have to stay in power, you'll have to keep on compromising on principles and not fight corruption? Otherwise, the corrupt people will somehow co-opt the media and other influentials to punish you if you don't cut deals.
I think the option squarely lies with the Prime Minister now.
Okay.
He has to make his choice, either to go for yet another compromise and save his government, or simply go ahead with this investigation.
Okay.
Unfortunately, before meeting Jahangir Tareen and his MPs and MNAs, as a matter of fact, the investigating officer of FIA was removed. And that was one particular specific demand from this particular group.
He was replaced, not removed. Yeah.
He was replaced,
Investigation
but
was not quashed.
this should not have happened, because that did not create a positive impression about the way the investigation was going on.
Okay.
When you change the investigator right in the middle of the investigation, that raises a lot many questions. The point I'm trying to make is, now the options are clear. If he goes ahead with this investigation with a logical conclusion, no matter if his government is removed, he will have something to say to the people.
Okay.
And if he shelved the inquiry, compromises, and his government is also removed for some other reason, then I think PTI would stand nowhere, politically speaking.
Okay.
My understanding of the situation is that there are many risk factors,
Okay.
and it is going to be the decision, again the point that I had earlier made by Nawaz, is going to be decision by the Nawaz Sharif. And most probably, he is not going to let his younger brother to become a prime minister in any situation. He
Okay.
wants a fresh election.
You're talking about Nawaz Sharif being influential if there's going to be an in-house change.
Yes, if there is an in-house change.
Okay.
Therefore, I think Prime Minister Imran Khan simply should go ahead with this investigation.
Okay.
They should bring an end to this blackmailing culture in Pakistan.
Okay.
You know, we had before that MKM. Unfortunately, that in one form or the other, it's still there. They blackmail the governments, and now we have got I would say, with all due respect to them, it's a mafia. They are watching their very petty political interest, and for the sake of those political interests, they are trying to hijack the entire political landscape of Pakistan, creating a political destabilization, creating a lot of speculation in the market, and that does not bode well for the economy.
Right. Now let us war game this thing. Right. The Prime Minister does not cut any deal. He holds Jahangir Tareen accountable. What happens then?
I think the maximum what they can do is probably some of the MPs, MNAs would not vote for the budget session. That is
if budget doesn't pass, the government fails, and they have to change the government.
Then there is a risk factor.
Okay.
Certainly that risk factor is there. But I think at the end of the day, Prime Minister has to stand for something, because
I understand. You're explaining the...
you are talking about the pragmatic games.
What will happen?
My understanding is that the powers that be in Pakistan, probably they would not go
What
for
do you mean by powers that
the
be?
establishment.
Okay, the establishment is not people of Pakistan?
Let's hope that time comes when we can call the people of
Okay.
Pakistan as
So
part
as
of
a
the
voter,
establishment.
I'm not the power that be.
No, you are not.
I'm nobody.
No, we are nobody. Not you. We are
Okay.
all
No,
nobody.
but I just wanted to
Yes,
clarify.
You're a good anchor person.
No.
So I think
Yeah.
in case that deal is not struck with the PMLN on Shehbaz Sharif, then there is a greater probability that this government would stay in power.
Okay.
And my understanding is that that deal would not be
No,
struck.
but hang on.
So there is
If the budget doesn't pass, the government falls, right? And in Punjab, they are going to be, the word has it that they are going to start with Punjab, and there seems to be an active way to bring down the government in Punjab, right? If that happens, what becomes of Punjab? And if the government cannot pass its budget, what happens then? Because then the government cannot stay in power.
exactly, but that probability is certainly there. And then again, these are the choices that the government has to make.
Right.
Is to stand for these.
You keep on talking about choices. I was talking about the reality and the possible outcome. Irfan Hori Saab, the same question to you. The way forward, and I'm not talking about what should happen, what can happen, what will happen. What is your take on this, sir?
Farrukh Sahab, I think when it comes to the budget, the federal budget,
Yeah.
I don't think that the cases against Jahangir Tareen would be concluding, in a month or, less than a month, because we will be going for the budget session next month. And I think when it comes to the budget, my opinion, federal budget, there would be, of course, there would be some bickering and this, but I think the budget would be, but Jahangir Tareen's group, they can play a very significant role in the coming months. The reference that Rana Saab was giving, how things unfold between the powers that be and PMLN, that is an important thing. When it comes to Punjab, of course in Punjab there has been complaints by to be more candid, that even what we have been hearing in the news reports for a long time, that many powers, they have been pressing PTI and especially Imran Khan for change of face in Punjab, because the person who is the chief minister and choice of Imran Khan Saab, and he had been calling him Wasim Akram Plus and whatever, I don't know. But he has not, when the people there, they compare Shehbaz Sharif's performance with Usman Buzdar Saab, so there is a huge difference, and he has not been able to come up to that expectations. So in Punjab, I think the threat is more potent than in center right now.
Okay. But what makes you believe that JKT group is not going to, stop the budget from passing?
It's because they would also be looking for their options. But as Jahangir Tareen has been saying, and we have been hearing, this started this grouping thing. Within PTI, we all know that there had been certain groups who had been acting against each other and this and that. But when it comes to opening up like that, there are certain factors before that, and these politicians, they have to consider all those factors.
Okay.
In case, some people from the opposition parties, they come to the support of the government in case of passing of budget, the People's Party or some smaller parties. So that can be a case. So if they have to consider all those options, and then it comes how the the government is going to pursue those cases, as we have seen that there has been meetings between Imran Khan and the Taliban.
Irfan Hori Sahib, this idea that the federal government doesn't face any challenge and Punjab government is going to fall. One, it is thought to be one of the earliest dominoes if Punjab government falls, right? But how much is it study? How much is it a reading of the reality, and how much of it is wishful thinking? Because I understand that most like-minded supporters of PTI, and I mean like-minded as in supporter of PTI, media men are no fans of the Punjab government.
No, it's not being, a fan of somebody or not, but you have to see the ground realities. When it comes to, the Chaudhrys, I mean, the PMLQ, we had seen that they openly had been, in the past they had been trying to weigh their options as well. And similarly, I mean, within PMLN, there has been discussion. So in Punjab, that's why I'm saying that, and the person over there, he is not that strong enough to, and we all know that it is the center that has been running the show in Punjab. So many chief secretaries, so many IGs, they have been changed. That is a proof that things are not going well there.
All right. And just to underscore what kind of challenges faced Ahmed Jabbar Sahib, let me point out of course the bigger number is 41, but the 34 members who participated in Jahangir Tareen's dinner the other night, one federal minister, two provincial ministers, one federal parliamentary secretary, two advisors to Chief Minister Punjab, two special assistants to the Chief Minister Punjab, 5 parliamentary secretaries in Punjab. This is not a small crisis, it seems. And it is not all. There is speculation. You respond by quoting a federal minister, and the word has it that even he is not in the good books of the government. Is it true?
First of all, yes, it's a political crisis, and but we like to call it a challenge. And there were political challenges in the past, and we hope that we can overcome this challenge as well. Okay. And you have also listened to the analysts, and most of them are also indicating that perhaps there may not be an immediate threat to the government, and even the budget might be approved also.
Even?
Yeah.
When you are using the word even, I mean,
because that's the, for the time being, I mean, this is being quoted as the biggest challenge. I mean, the discussion is revolving around the budget, whether PTI can get it through or not, because this is the challenge which has been marked.
But I admire all the principles and your positioning and all. But here is a counter argument that it proves that your party has not learned from the prudence of political system, that it doesn't want to show any flexibility. And given that it is a hung parliament, in the end, you will undermine your own mandate by letting such elements bring down the government.
I think what Javed Rana Sahib said, I mean, I will slightly modify the version, but exactly what he said, that PTI, if it has to go back to the people for the elections, today or tomorrow, whenever, I mean, we must stand on our principles.
Okay. Right.
And if we compromise something, and for some reasons the government still falls and we go to the public, we lose our face.
Right.
So that is why Imran Khan is very clear on this option of exercising, of dissolving the assemblies in case he is surrounded or he is trapped for some blackmailing.
Right. Dissolving a parliament actually needs many caveats, right? After 18th Amendment. First, there will be a counter attempt to form a government, and then if you dissolve the parliament, you still have to go to the Supreme Court and justify it, right? But regardless, just to understand, you are saying that if he goes to the people, he will be entrusted with another mandate. There have been 10 by-elections. How many of those seats have you won?
I mean, if we talk in general, perhaps I may not be able to answer, but if you go to the individual, like Deska, it was PMLN seat and they won it.
Karachi?
If it was, yes, Karachi is something we should worry about, and Karachi, the people of Karachi, they gave an opportunity to PTI, and perhaps after seeing the result of 249, we should see this thing that the people are not happy, and we need to do more in Karachi.
And that is the time
and we may lose this opportunity.
And that is the time when you might decide to go to the people for that mandate.
Yeah, it could be. The timing could be the same. But I mean, if you go to the people with some principal grounds, I think you have better face to face the public.
Right, and that seems to be the actual problem. It is not about popularity, Javed Rana Saab, of our government. It is about how the government actually puts a spin to things and becomes the victim. PMLN effectively put a lot of spin when it came out of power. And it seems that it had placed, when it comes to propaganda at least, PTI had put all its eggs in one basket called Jahangir Tareen. All the social media teams actually belong to him. Then media people also, who are actually corruptible, some of them, are very near to that man. And that's why at this moment government is failing to portray itself as the victim